Welcome back to FDVN channel, where we share current legal issues, provide legal English lessons, and connect to build our English skills in the legal field. In today's video, we want to share a lesson about the vocabulary in criminal law. We divided the vocabulary into three groups. First, vocabulary in trials and judicial bodies. Arraignment, a legal process in a law court where someone is accused of a particular crime and asked to say if they are guilty or not. Activism, the use of direct and noticeable action to achieve a result, usually a political or social one. Adversarial process. An adversarial process is resolving disputes where two opposing sides present their cases before an impartial decision-maker. This decision-maker, often a judge or jury, determines the outcome based on the evidence and arguments presented. Appellate jurisdiction. Appellate jurisdiction is the power of a higher court to review decisions made by a lower court. Accredit, to officially recognize, accept, or approve of someone or something. Argument, a disagreement, or the process of disagreeing. Acquit, to decide officially in a law court that someone is not guilty of a particular crime. Court of appeals, a court of law that makes decisions relating to legal cases in which people do not accept the decision of a lower court. Trial court, a trial court is where legal cases are first heard and decided. Deposition, a formal written statement made or used in a law court. Justice, fairness in the way people are dealt with. Curfew, a rule that everyone must stay at home between particular times, usually at night, especially during a war or a period of political trouble. Authority, the authorities are the police or other government officials. Defendant, a person in a law case who is accused of having done something illegal. Second, vocabulary related to crime and criminal behavior. Assassination, the murder of someone famous or important. Assassin, someone who kills a famous or important person, usually for political reasons or in exchange for money. Commit, to do something illegal or something that is considered wrong. Bombing, an attack or attacks on a place or area using bombs, or the activity of attacking in this way. Bomber, a person who uses bombs. Burglary, the crime of illegally entering a building and stealing things. Burglar, a person who illegally enters buildings and steals things. Corruption, illegal, bad, or dishonest behavior, especially by people in positions of power. Domestic violence, the situation in which someone you live with attacks you and tries to hurt you. Gang, a group of young people, especially young men, who spend time together, often fighting with other groups and behaving badly. Hardened, no longer likely to change a bad way of life or feel sorry about it. Human trafficking, the crime of buying and selling people, or making money from work they are forced to do, such as sex work. Juvenile delinquency, crime that is committed by young people. Murder, the crime of intentionally killing a person. Prostitution, the business of having sex for money. Snatch, to take hold of something suddenly and roughly. Snatcher, someone who takes something or someone by force. Separation, a situation in which two or more people or things are separated. Suicide, the act of killing yourself intentionally. Terrorism, violent action for political purposes. Terrorist, someone who uses violent action or threats of violence for political purposes. Theft, the act of dishonestly taking something that belongs to someone else and keeping it. Violent, using force to hurt or attack. Third, punishment vocabulary. Incarceration, the act of putting or keeping someone in prison or in a place used as a prison. Fine, an amount of money that has to be paid as a punishment for not obeying a rule or law. Life imprisonment, the punishment of being put in prison for a very long time without an arranged time for release or, in the U.S., until death. Capital punishment, punishment by death, as ordered by a legal system. Non-custodial sentence, of a punishment that does not involve a person being sent to prison. Until 2 years ago, Clearing, Illinois, a tranquil suburb of Chicago. However, residents grew alarmed when they noticed armed teenagers on the streets, giving gang signals and shouting at passing cars. Then came a series of burglaries and graffiti messages on storefronts. By the time local authorities realized they had a gang problem, it was too late. Last December, 2 13-year-old girls were shot outside their school as they sat in a car with 2 members of a local gang, the Ridgeway Lords, nearly all 50 states have recently passed laws that allow youths aged 14 to 17 to be tried in court as adults. In about 25 states, they have passed laws to punish parents for their children's behavior. Furthermore, in 146 of the nation's largest cities, they have imposed curfews to reduce juvenile violence. When you look at the spectacular rise of violent crime among young people recently, it is easy to understand the concern. Over the past decade, adult murders have declined, while murder rates for youths between 14 and 17 have surged. For young offenders who are not sent to prison, the punishments vary. Some are ordered to perform community service, others are placed in job training programs, while others are sent to youth prisons. However, the Republicans in Congress want to reserve a fundamental principle of juvenile justice, the separation of young criminals from hardened adult criminals in prison. The reasons are partly financial, to reduce the cost of having separate prisons, and partly psychological, to end what Republicans consider as society's overly protective attitude towards young criminals. You have read and listened to the paragraph. Now, for practicing the vocabulary you have learned through this video, we have some exercises for you. If you cannot catch up to the content of the paragraph, please reverse and listen again. Exercise 1. Read the passage and choose the correct answer to each of the following questions. 1. Where is located clearing? A. In Great Britain, B. In Spain, C. In the USA, you now have 10 seconds. The answer is C. In the USA. It is said that until 2 years ago, Clearing, Illinois, a tranquil suburb of Chicago, 2. Why were residents unhappy? A. Because taxes increased, B. Because rents were too high, C. Because gangs came into their town. You now have 10 seconds. The answer is C, because gangs came into their town. In the paragraph, residents grew alarmed when they noticed armed teenagers on the streets, giving gang signals and shouting at passing cars. 3. What happened in December? A. A policeman shot a young man. B. 2 girls were killed because they were with 2 members of another gang. C. Criminality decreased. You now have 10 seconds. The answer is B. 2 girls were killed because they were with 2 members of another gang. Evidence: last December, 2 13-year-old girls were shot outside their school as they sat in a car with 2 members of a local gang, the Ridgeway Lords. For what is a curfew? A. Young people are not allowed to smoke. B. Young people are not allowed to drink. C. Young people are not allowed to go out when it is too late at night. You have 10 seconds. The answer is C. Young people are not allowed to go out when it is too late at night. Evidence: they have imposed curfews to reduce juvenile violence. Question 5. What would the Republicans like to do? A. They would like to separate young criminals from adult criminals. B. They would like to put young criminals into prisons for adults. C. They would like to ban youth prisons. You have 10 seconds. The answer is A. They would like to separate young criminals from adult criminals. In the paragraph, it is said that the Republicans in Congress want to reserve a fundamental principle of juvenile justice, the separation of young criminals from hardened adult criminals in prison. Exercise 2. Read the passage and decide if each of the following statements is true or false. 1. Parents are not responsible for what their children do. You have 10 seconds. This statement is false because it is written in the paragraph that in about 25 states, They have passed laws to punish parents for their children's behavior. 2. The Ridgway Lords is a famous band. You have 10 seconds. This statement is false. In the paragraph, last December, 2 13-year-old girls were shot outside their school as they sat in a car with 2 members of a local gang, the Ridgway Lords. 3. There is an increase in the number of crimes committed by young people. You have 10 seconds. This statement is true. Evidence over the past decade, adult murders have declined, while murder rates for youths between 14 and 17 have surged. Exercise 3. Match each word in column A with its correct definition in column B. You have 1 minute. The answer is, armed using or carrying weapons, murder. The crime of intentionally killing a person, juvenile, relating to a young person who is not yet old enough to be considered an adult, hardened, no longer likely to change a bad way of life, of feel sorry about it. Gang, a group of criminals who work together, shoot to kill a person or animal by firing a bullet or arrow at him, her, or it. Justice, fairness in the way people are dealt with. Court, a place where trials and other legal cases happen, or the people present in such a place, especially the officials and those deciding if someone is guilty. And that is the end of the lesson today. If you have any further question, please comment below this video or send your consideration to our email. Remember to subscribe, like and share this video if you find it helpful. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.